good evening and welcome along to another episode of Not Another Rangers podcast. The Rangers are back, an international break which seemed longer than a Labour Party prison sentence for violent crimes these days. Dundee United away at Tannadice awaits, a ground which has been kind to us over the years. Loudrup heading in 9 in a row, Lafferty, Mendes and Boyd sealing another title for Walter there. A game that's famous for the magnificent Majid Beguera run at Ibrox, beating every United player before he scored. So who's going to step up to the plate this weekend and make it a beautiful Sunday for the Rangers? Joining me to discuss all that, VAR and more, is Mr. Scott Kerr and Ricky Forbes. Scott, how are we, mate?
No bad, Davey. Quite gutted. I didn't get any Lincoln Park tickets today. Ticketmaster just wouldn't let me in. Gutted, man. Gutted. I hate Ticketmaster. That's my gripe for the day. I hate Ticketmaster.
Well, there's no pet peeves on this podcast. Ricky, how's yourself, mate?
Yeah, heat wave in Cyprus, mate. It's supposed to be the end of the summer, getting into September, but it's still 40 degrees. So unfortunately, sweating. But hopefully it'll cool down soon, mate. But apart from that, life is good.
Life is good, and after what is, as I said earlier, a long international break, it always seems that wee bit longer when you come off the back of a defeat. But it's Dundee United up next at Tannadice. I think the first thing I want to do, because obviously we're doing the podcast a day early this week due to other people having commitments and such, so we don't have the press conference to fall off of. But I'm hoping to see a freshness about the team tomorrow. I'm hoping to see the new guys introduced. I think it needs fresh blood care. So we're thinking tomorrow at Sunday at right back. Is it going to be James Tavernier or is it going to be the dawning of a new era?
I hope the James Tavernier. As long as James Tavernier's at the club, James Tavernier will play. He's a captain. He'll play unless he's injured or the manager has a sudden change of heart, which I don't see happening. I think Clement's quite stubborn with some of his selections, and if he feels Tav's good enough, fit enough to play and good enough to play, Tav will be at right back. Listen, James Tavernier's is a big issue at the moment, but it doesn't mean if he gets dropped, everything's going to dramatically improve. That will not happen, but it is one of the issues. But like I said, I think the manager will still keep him at right back for Sunday.
Ricky, we've brought in the big guy. I call him Big Cass, but I think it's Horatio Casanwiro, I think is how we're going to pronounce it. I tried to get that out there as quickly as I can. We'll just move on for that. But he's, predominantly a right back, can play centre half. We've got Dujon Sterling there. Given the fact we need to take into account how United play, and they play with a front three and they're sort of quick in transition, the ball over the top is definitely going to be an out ball for them. So with that in mind, is now the time for Clement to address, certain problem areas of the team, and right back being the first one? Would you like to see one of the two start at right back on Sunday?
Yeah, 100%. I would like to see Sterling start at right back. I would break the new guy in a bit gentle. I don't think Suter's been that bad. I think he's been all right the last few games. So I would try and build a partnership with Suter and Proper to start with. I would change the fullback area. I would take Tavernier out of the team, and it's got nothing to do with the usual noise and for F's sake Tav and all that nonsense. It's to do with his form. His form since the start of the season has not been very good. So for me, let's get a bit of freshness into that defence. Let's try and build a defence that's a little bit stronger and is not conceding goals, because we can't. We need to be thinking about January and playing them again, and we cannot have the defence wide open with the fullbacks getting absolutely roasted with that amount of space, giving up that amount of space to Dundee United. They play 3-4-3, so I'll be interested to see. We'll probably be playing our usual formation, so there'll be a lot of space, and they'll definitely be attacking the fullback areas and be hoping to exploit us like Celtic did. So it's important that Clement realises that. And I would like to see a bit of freshness in the defence, a bit of freshness in the midfield, and a bit of freshness in the front three as well, to be honest, Davey.
No, I think you make a good point there, Ricky, and I just want to touch on the point you make about a freshness in defence, and I'll take that to you, Keir. Now, I think John Souttar's Rangers career has been a bit hit and miss. We have to take into account that Proper's been signed on the recommendation of our new assistant manager, and it's going to take time for him to bed in. But when you're playing Souttar and Proper as your back two, there's a distinct lack of recovery pace there. And I think it's maybe going to be a game where you can use Balogun or even Dujon Sterling at centre-half, because he's, very commanding. I think any time he's played at centre-half, he's showed up well. He's strong in everything he does. And again, he's got that pace that we sort of lack. So we've spoke about freshness, but does Clement have to look at personnel now for certain games? Because teams are exploiting us, and I think it's now time to address these issues going forward. So do you think he might tweak things at centre-half as well?
No. I think, like I said earlier, I think Clement's a very stubborn manager. I think if he thinks something will work, he'll try it until it works. If he's got, and we've seen that with his formation, certainly the way we play. And I think Souttar and probably Proper will start again. Listen, Balogun's yet to be used if available. We all know Leon can do the job. On other boy, Casemiro, whatever you want to call him, Big Cass. But remember, he was about, I think it was third or fourth, maybe even fifth choice, a centre backs we went for. So, and then Clement said he's good. He's a good utility player. So to me, he's going to be covering the maybe various positions. So that doesn't mean he's going to be a starter. Maybe just fill in if somebody's injured or suspended, which isn't a great thing. Listen, we all want utility players, but I think Sterling's got that on his back at the moment. I mean, you're saying right back, and then you're saying centre back, and then we're saying midfield. And I think that's a problem with Sterling. Nobody knows his favourite position, even though he says himself is probably right back. So he has to nail on a position, because you can't ask a boy if you play right back 1 week and then the following week like you're playing defensive mid, and then the following week or you're playing it wide right. And he needs a certain position so he can get consistent level of performance. Moving about all the time is not going to work for him. Listen, they've all give 100%, but I don't know if you've noticed that, and it's maybe it's just me, but I've noticed that the last couple of games when he's been booked, he goes into a hiding because he's scared to get another booking. Big Sterling, because he's physical and he is a player who will not pull out a tackle, but football's slightly different nowadays where you've seen it before, one tackle you can get booked, or 4 tackles and you can get your first booking, you depending on who the referee is. So I think he's got to be clever where he plays him, but also, Ricky, you've mentioned it as well, he's made of chocolate at times. He can get injured very easily as well. So I think the manager's got to find a settled position for Sterling. If it's going to be the 6, or does he bring Raskin back, or is it going to be at right back? But I don't think right back's an option. In centre back, I just feel it's going to be Souttar and Souttar and Proper at the moment. I feel we brought Proper in. He seems to like him. He's not done bad this season. I think John Souttar's one of these players. I know a lot of people have said he's a siege defender. He's good when the game's against you, but he's not got a lot to do with making mistakes. And I think he's done okay at times. But you're right, David. Between the two of them, there's not a lot of recovery pace there, and that could maybe United could take advantage of that, because other teams have in the past. So we could all hear and sit and pick the manager's lineup, or we could sit and pick lineups we like ourselves. But I think Clement has a kind of 11 he wants, and it might not be what we want to pick, but I think he's got players in his mind that he wants to play just now before anybody else comes in.
No, I think that's a fair point. And also, just touching on the one that you made there about Dujon Sterling, I kind of think the pattern of play that you're talking about, and where he get the sending off against Aberdeen last season with the sort of challenge that Don Robertson was a referee, and it went to VAR, and VAR had suggested that he overturned the red card, and he stuck by it. And I think since that point, when he has got a booting, you have seen him a bit more subdued. So I think that's a terrific point that you highlight that, Keir. And maybe with Don Robertson being the referee as he is this weekend, perhaps that might come into Clement's thinking. But Ricky, if we move forward and we look at the midfield, we did spend £3.5 million on a deadline day signing, and Clement had always wanted to play with the 10. Has he now got his man in Bajrami? We're led to believe that we're looking at him for the 2 weeks building up to as eventually signing him. And he's tried many a different player in there, whether it be Cantwell, whether at times it's been Lowry during pre-season. He's seen Hagi in training, doesn't fancy him. Lawrence has played there. Is this guy now the right fit? Or because we've got injury issues at the moment, and given the fact he played left wing for his country during the international break, do you think it'll be a square pegs and round holes job on Sunday and he'll be playing in the wing opposed to in the 10?
He better start, I tell you that, he better start. If fancy warrants on that team sheet on Sunday will be absolutely. I mean, this guy started 2 games for Albania. I think the game on Sunday will maybe give us a bit of an extra day. So that should give the team an extra day to prepare, a few extra training sessions to get the new guys bedded in that have been away on international duty. I was following this guy on Twitter and I watched him some minutes for Albania and he looked quite impressive. So we need to get him in the team for sure. We need that freshness. The question I would be asking is who we're going to play behind him, because I don't think Connor Barron and Diamande has worked as a 2 with them as a 6 and an 8, and like the team has been, we're speaking about a defence, but the midfield has not been helping the defence. We've been wide open, even against Ross County when we won 6-0. They had 2 free opportunities where they just cut right through the middle of our team like butter. The guys clean through on goal. And if they take their chances, I mean, there was one of them, I think the score was 1-0 or maybe even 0-0 at time. So we need to get that midfield right. So Diamande's been away playing in Africa, so I might put him on the bench. Nothing to do with his form, and maybe try Raskin, Barron, and Ben Rami. I would try they 3 together and just see if that is. We need to get that mix right in midfield. We need to get the rotations right, so they're giving the defenders options, because proper. I mean, fans are getting starting to judge them already. We've got a period of time. We've got to get off these players' backs. We're back at Ibrox. We need to get behind them, see what they can do, give these new guys an opportunity to get settled in. They're going to be playing at Ibrox for the first time next weekend, which is a huge thing for these players. And hopefully, gets that freshness in the team. We can see the rotations in midfield. They're making angles for the defenders to pick them out, because Suter and Proper are 2 good players on the ball. So they're making angles, and then we see that would be good positivity to see against Dundee United. I mean, I know people are saying Dundee United are on form and everything, but I want to see us go up to Tannadice and blow them off the park, to be honest. And with the new talent we've got on the team, we should be going up there and winning. We shouldn't be worried about Dundee United. I know it's always been a tough game at Tannadice, and it's always been tough in the past, but I expect us to go up there and a good victory on Sunday. And a good weekend of sport ahead. There's lots of good games, the UFC, a lot of good stuff sport on at the weekend. So looking forward to that at the weekend. So a good victory up at Tannadice. But I would go with Raskin, I would go with Barron, and I would try Benj Rami, get him straight into the team,
Kerr, see in regards to Nico Raskin, what does he have to do to announce himself as a Rangers player? I feel his career at Ibrox has been very stop-start. He showed promise in certain games, but for me, he's yet to really impose himself on a fixture, dictate a game. That's what I expect of a Rangers midfielder. And I would say the same about, Mo Diamande as well. If you look at him, we've paid 4.2 million for him in the summer. And again, I expect if we're paying that money, that you're dominating every game, you're an influence on it. And I just don't see, whether it be the mix, the blend in personnel, there's no sort of matching. It looks a bit sort of mismatch at times. And I think they're no used to each other and perhaps, they need time. But Raskin's a guy that's been here for 2 years and he's never really kicked on under any manager. So is that a concern?
It can be, but I think he's been very unlucky with the managers they've had through the door, and also the injuries he's been having. But when he has been fit and been given a consistent amount of run of games, he has looked good. And I've liked the way he's played at times. He has a finishing midfielder. He does get stuck in. He likes to go forward with the ball, but he can spot a pass. And I think he's got everything we're looking for. But he needs a run of games. He needs to stay fit. He needs to stop playing 1 or 2 games and get injured and then being away for a few months and coming back. that's not going to help anybody. So you have to get a good run of games. It's a bit of a ban for me. A good run of games and stay fit. And maybe we'll see the best of him. We may put him for a bit of money. He was supposed to be one of the youngest or the best young talents coming out of Belgium at that point, wasn't he? So they brought him in. He looked good when he first came through the door, but listen, sometimes players have issues behind the scenes, or sometimes players have other problems. So, but I think there's Ross joining us. But I think if he can win a games, I think Raskin can improve our midfield, and I'd like to see him with Conor Barron. I think two guys who can be mobile enough in the centre of the park to get forward and back can complement each other. I think Diamandi's his form's kind of that, but he's still playing. He doesn't hide. He's still trying things. But I think you may need a rest just because the amount of games he's played. But also, Davey, I know we signed him for 4.2 million, but that doesn't guarantee he's going to be good. That's just the fee we've agreed with his club. It doesn't mean he's going to be a great player. So I think Diamandi, will turn out to be a really good player. But I think some of that goes back to manager again. I think some of the players look lost middle of the park because they don't know where to be or I don't know what they're doing. I know some of that's on the players when they're on the pitch, but I think the instruction for the manager doesn't help them.
No, that's an interesting point, and we'll come back to that. Good evening, Ross, and welcome along to the podcast, mate. We're just talking on the midfield just now, and we're sort of saying we don't think the blend is right. We're not sure who the best sort of middle three would be. We assume that Boardroom will probably start in the 10, at least we would hope so on Sunday. Who do you think will be the sort of middle two, and who do you think our best middle two is, everybody being fit?
Conor Barron's definitely in there. I've said this for a long time, mate. Diamandi's really good, but I've said it before, I feel as if he's always got the ball on the very edge of where he's got it under control, which gives us away the opportunity for teams to then nip the ball off him if their pressing is high. Barron, for me, we are playing as more the sixth now. He's playing the kind of Lundstrom role. When the two wing backs go forward, he drops in between the two centre halves. I think we're wasting him in there. I think he's got a bit more to offer in the 8. But the issue is you're always going to be imbalanced because we don't have two. We're trying to play with a 6, an 8 and a 10 at the moment. We're not going with the 10 and 2 6s or the 6 and 2 8s. So I think if you're playing with that 10, you can't go having two players in Barron and Diamandi who want to go forward all the time. So we're hampering Barron and kind of playing him in there, which he looks comfortable doing, Davey. But for me, the now you would have to go Barron, Diamandi and your new fella and the 10 and see how it looks and how it goes. But I just think that there's a distinct possibility there that we're not getting the best use of Barron if he's the one who's doing the backtracking in that role.
No, I think that's an excellent point. Well made, Ross, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, mate. But if we touch on what we've all sort of been talking here, so we started off with the defence, we've moved into the midfield. There's no point moving forward to the strike force because it's the same arguments. And this is the point that Aldo raises, Ricky. So his issue is that he feels, Clement changes the team too much. So do we need to sort of settle on a recognised 11 and go with it regardless? Persevere with it maybe over the next 4 or 5 weeks with minimal changes, barring injuries, game to game, just to sort of develop these relationships and then see if we kick on for that.
It's cryo. The cryo chamber's on the wrong settings. It has been since he came in because the players keep getting injured and he's freezing them half to death and then they're getting the cold. So that's why we keep changing the team. The reason we keep changing the team is because every single game we're seeing these injuries, and obviously the transfer window being open for a month when the season starts is a bit of a pain in the ass as well because you're bringing in all these new players and trying to training through the week to try and get them used to your patterns of play and stuff. But now, I think Ross made some good points when he was speaking the other day on the pod about we'll have had quite a tough start to the season. But now the games are in the league anyway are getting a bit more gentle. So we need to see a settled team. We need to sort out the defence. The midfield needs to get sorted out, and we need to see the front three sorted out as well. I know you don't want to move on to the front three, but it's a big discussion as well, because we're down to 2 strikers. Cortez, I believe, is back fit, so is we going to risk throwing him back in on the left? And then the options are not exactly. Do you try Egamani on the left? He looked quite good when we played against Celtic. Desser's up front. If you play Egamani on the left and Desser's up front, then you've got no backup striker. Lovelace is nowhere to be seen. So there's some massive decisions in defence, massive decisions in the field, and some massive decisions up front as well. But the point you were asking about, for sure, I want to see a settled team now. For the games, at least in the league coming up, I want to see a settled team. If you're going to be making rotations, then make them for Europe. But we need to get back into this league race and see some victories in the league. 40% win rate is absolutely shocking. We need to get that sorted out, or it doesn't matter what anyone says. If we don't sort out that 40% win rate, then the manager won't be here, and it's as simple as that.
No, I think that's a very fair comment, Ricky. Kerr, if we touch on Paul's point in regards to who should play, left side of the front three, and he's asking McCausland, I think if the performance at Parkhead's anything to go by, is Ross McCausland is nothing other than a backup squad player, perhaps should be third choice for his position. I don't think he's good enough to command a start at Rangers. I can't see him doing any more than that. I think his physicality, you've seen that he really struggles in these types of games. This league might not be the best league for him in his development. I think he needs to go and hit the gym, but I think his decision making at times is poor. You see, when he plays on his natural side, he never looks up when he hits the byline. You see him struggling at times. He sort of plays his best stuff, I think, when he comes inside, and that doesn't happen often enough. So for you, is there a bigger picture here in that it's not just Ross McCausland, it's everybody coming through for the youth academy? It's Leon King come through with a big reputation, and then he dropped off. We signed Bailey Rice for Motherwell, who was the next big thing in Scottish football since John Fleck. Look what we've done with John Fleck, and nothing ever transpired for him. Is Bailey Rice ever going to get a game? Is there a much bigger picture here to analyse rather than just Ross McCausland? Our youth academy really is a shambles, isn't it?
It's no great, David, but I think we need to sometimes be more patient with the younger guys. I know Ross isn't that young anymore, but I think we need to be more patient with these guys. I think Ross has got ability. I think he's a decent player. A starter, probably not just yet, but I think he can come on and do stuff in games. He's done it last season, he's done it in Europe, he scored in a few other games. He does create stuff at times, yeah. He lets himself down, but I think the squad has to improve first and foremost. And I think if Cortez is fit, he probably starts in the left. Jeffries always looks to me being better for the forward than does it left back, but that's just my opinion. But no, I think McCausland's got a spot somewhere. I've been on the start now, but he's got a spot in the squad. I think he can come on and do stuff that we've not got it. But guys like McCausland, Bailey Rice, I don't know where he's doing at the moment. I think we need to give him a chance. I know the manager says that a few times about youth, but doesn't seem to bring them in. Robbie Fraser as well, and you've also got Cole McCann. So there's guys here if you give them that, and then I don't mean 30 minutes here, 20 minutes, and I think you need to give them a run of games. But if you do that and you lose, you're under pressure. But to be honest with you, it's not going to change much what's happening at the moment, is it? But he has to give them some time, because if you don't, they'll end up going elsewhere. And somebody like Bailey Rice could go elsewhere, play for another team, as you've seen other players, and get 50, 60, 70 appearances and make a big move somewhere else. So he has to be brave in his decision making. Sometimes he has to say, no, this guy's maybe no there just yet, but I'd rather give him the chance to go forward, maybe pick somebody who's been here for a few seasons but they're tailing off.
Ross, the opponents on Sunday are Dundee United, and the last 3 fixtures they've managed to keep a clean sheet in each of them. They've only conceded 3 goals. We've conceded 3 goals in our last game. They might say that the opposition they've faced in the first 4 league games of the season isn't to the same standard that we have, but you can only beat that's in front of you. They look to play the 3-4-3, as Ricky mentioned. They're quick in transition. They like the ball over the top. is this a dangerous opponent for us on Sunday, or should we just be, more of getting back to the opinion that we're Rangers, we shouldn't fear these teams, we need to take this game upon us and just, deal with it, win it and deal with it?
I think our biggest problem the new is historically we've took a scudding and then it's affected us for the weeks following. At the moment, confidence will be low. They know there's been a bit of backlash. You've had fans outside the stadium giving them a bit as and when, and I'm not saying any of that's undue, by the way. I agree. Fans are paying good money season after season to go and follow the club everywhere and no getting the performances that they probably expect. But going to Tannadice to play Dundee United, who are newly promoted, for me, no matter how big a crisis of confidence we've got, or you'll probably find that the boy Gamani and Cherny are worth more than their full team, and we're going to put other bodies round about that. So it doesn't wash with me, Davey, that we're going to Tannadice and it's got to be a tough game and Dundee United will be up for it. See, the now we need to be up for it. We're no. The difference is now people are not raising their game against Rangers because it's their cup final. People are raising their game against Rangers because they feel as if they've got a chance to take something for the game. And that's the state that we've let ourselves get into, where teams like Dundee United will fancy their chances, are frustrating us for the first 20 minutes, and then, as you say, Proper didn't look too great against Celtic when the ball went over the top and they was in against somebody with pace. Tavernier doesn't like somebody with pace. Big Souters been good, I would say, this season, been good up until now. But if you've got a pacey striker and you're content to play the ball over the top of Rangers, you'll get chances at the moment, and that's me speaking from watching us every minute we've played since pre-season. Anybody that's got a bit of zip and a quick turnover of possession will catch us and play through us, whether it's playing right through the middles when we break our press or whether it's playing the ball over the top, because again, we've replaced centre-halves with what are good pedigree players, but nobody that's got that recovery pace proper doesn't seem to have that for me. The worrying thing being Leon Balogun with half a hamstring seems to be your quickest centre-half when it comes to that foot race with a centre-forward to try and get the ball.
No, again, I think very well put, Ross. And if we take that on a step further, Ricky, the manager has come under criticism of late, and then there's sort of two sides to the argument. You'll get some fans on social media saying he needs time, he's still building his own team, he's in it for the long haul, but he has had 5 games against Celtic and he's no managed a victory yet. He has spent money in the summer. We have spent a decent sum, considering we're meant to be skint. There was 4.2 million on Diomande, 3.5 on Bijrami, 1.7 on Agamani. So funds have been spent. It's him and Coppin that's decided where that money's went, and possibly it's no went to what we would have classed as the priority positions as fans. How he conducts himself in press conferences has been a worry. I guess his man management has come under the microscope as well. So does he really need a run of victories to get the fans back on side? And when next week been back at Ibrox, is this just the perfect time to go off to a flyer at Tannadice on Sunday?
Oh, 100%. That's it. The only way the noise will die down is with some good victories. And we've got a good game on Sunday. Okay, it's after the international break, but I believe all the players that were away on international duty, they've all came back and reported back fit and healthy. So that's a big positive. So, as I said, I mean, when he came in, he got such a great tune out of the team until that Motherwell match. It's been absolutely bizarre how big the drop-off in the forum was after that Motherwell game. So hopefully now that he's got some of these fresh players in, we can start to see that forum that we had when he first came into the team. He can start to get us playing good football, scoring goals, keeping clean sheets, good victory against Dundee United, and then he's got a full week to work with the team again. That's a big bonus going into the Dundee game. Okay, it's a horrendous time next Saturday night at 7:30. God knows what that's all about, but a good game against Dundee in the Cup. I agree, get some consistency in that lineup. get the new players bedded in, get them settled in the city. A few victories that'll start calming the noise down a lot. So hopefully we get a good victory on Sunday and take things from there.
So I kind of want to break for the norm a wee bit now, Kerr, and talk about something that's been over the mainstream media last couple of days. Willie Collum had his first sort of public outing as the head of the referees, and he's done a lot of media with Sky, BBC and various channels, and he produced his show where they were letting us hear the audio for the first time in Scottish football. And I don't know if that's maybe been that his number 2 is John Moss, who's come up for the Premier League, and that's maybe just been his added influence that it's helped, bring that to the Scottish game. But it was good to see. I thought it was refreshing with the St Johnstone incident. I know you'll still get many decriers say, the referee's body language at times. And Colum did criticise that. However, he didn't blow the whistle, and his actual things that he was saying through the mic and communication with Greg Aitken on VAR was the correct protocol. So it was good to see that being addressed. And is this maybe a positive step in the right direction under Willie Collum going forward?
As actually what was quite refreshing, because all we want to know is at times why the decision was made, why it came to this conclusion, and they released the audio. We've listened to it, and anybody that knows football knows they were correct, knows it was done correctly. Yeah, he did call it the FC and his body position isn't great, and you'll have to learn for that, but he never blew the whistle, and all the things they said or we heard happened throughout that incident. So that's all we want to know. It's when they don't tell you all the conspiracies start, but he's come out, they've told us, we've listened to it ourselves, and if you believe something different, then you're in the wrong sport. But it's refreshing to hear, and hopefully this is the way forward what we're going to do, because yourself in Scotland, Davey, decisions like this, people think, oh, you must be wearing green specs, they must be wearing blue specs, and sometimes that isn't the case. Refs do make mistakes, but when things like this happen, it clarifies why the goal stood and why it wasn't. Without identifying to off for a foul or offside.
Ross, I know it's maybe shocked some that they've come out so quickly after the 4 games, because I think they've done it in 13 game spells last season under Crawford Allen, and they wouldn't show you any of the contentious issues. But right away, Willie Collum's come out for a start and addressed all the major decisions in the first 4 weeks of the season. I know he took flack towards the end of his refereeing career that his performances had dipped, but is that maybe just saying that things are maybe now going to change going forward, and perhaps we guys have been fast-tracked a lot in recent years up to the top league, and we've got a new sort of nucleus of young referees, that the introduction of technology is going to make our game better?
I'm the same as Kerr. I firmly enjoyed watching the 33, 34 minutes, whatever it was, on the SPFL YouTube channel. I thought Colm spoke really well. I thought that the explanation he gave you with the Barron handball one. Now, I was at Tynecastle and said to my dad, stay away, that's a penalty, and sitting in the stand. But when you see it back, they're now looking at the point of contact. At the point of contact, his arm's in there, it hits him there. As he says last season, that's a penalty, and that's why we're getting... Put it this way, I don't think Tav will score 12, 14 penalties this season, because if things like that are no being given, then across the board, it's, as usual, it would be us that are the first team to benefit for that rule change, because that then brings in the conspiracy theories and whatever else. But I thought that was interesting. I also thought you can tell that Colum and that have never played football, because the one they did speak about was at Ross County, the one he said should have been a penalty. He said because it's came for distance and there's nobody tackling when he's handballed. But for me, having played the game, if you've the boy in front of him's jumped, so he's expecting him to win the header, and he's trying to bring his cell back down to get on with the game, and the ball's missed the boy in front of him and hit him. So that will still be contentious. That will happen a few times this season, and he kind of said it himself, that's subjective. They're training the refs that should be a penalty, but it's very subjective. So I think it'll not eradicate the contentious handballs, and if you're looking at it through blue or maroon or green or livy coloured specs, you'll still see that your team's been hard done by and the refs all hate you. But I've said for a long time, mate, I don't think that any of the refs are cheats. I don't think they're biased. It's either brother beating or cheating beating in it, depending what side of the old firm you sit on. So that's what I'm talking about. If he gives a decision against us, we'll call him cheating beating the Tim. If he gives a decision against him, his brother beating member of the lodge and drinks with Rangers fans after games. So it can't be both. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's just that they're no very good. So hopefully Colm using all his years' experience and really breaking down how they come to decisions. And I like that, being more dynamic about the box, trying rather than just being in your own wee world, they're now talking to each other through the game, which I thought was great as well. They're now talking about this one's gone. He was shouting at Tom Lawrence, don't tackle there, because he knew that if Lawrence, and that'll happen for every team, by the way. I've seen a lot of people saying the days, well, he's coaching Rangers players through the game, but that's good refereeing. He's making Lawrence aware that he's going to give away a foul if he tackles there. Lawrence, in the end up, doesn't win the ball, but then it was good to learn about what they call the attacking phase of play. And then here, when the ball goes forward and they start shouting right to raise or reset, and that's anything that's happened before that spell was in a different phase of play. So we're now moving on. Mate, I thought it was really, really good. And I think it's easy to criticise the refs in Scotland, but hopefully this is a big step change for them. And hopefully that'll in turn make the product a lot better for us as fans to watch.
No, you see the thing I said about referees shouting don't tackle. The refs have done that for years. Maybe when I coached the youth team, the refs are always saying that to you boys, shouting at them, don't tackle, and the boys are tackling, and they say, well, I shouted to you not to tackle. So that's been done all through football, professional games, amateur games, youth games. It's not something new, but what says people look at things and start to think, oh, he's coaching him or he's saying that to him. It's not, it happens all the time. It's just the ref try to get the players to play the game properly and also be an easy time for himself. But I think that's good, and I agree with Ross. I think these decisions are good when they come out and tell us and show us and explain why, because I think that helps us as fans. Then we maybe not shouting the odds so much.
Ricky, Ross was touching on a good point. I think we can develop it about modernising the game, and we need to sort of bring it into the modern era. And a thing that's always sort of struck me is Old Firm fans as a whole are punished and scrutinised more than any other set of supporters in Scottish football. And since the 1980 Cup final, we've not been allowed to drink at games in this country. Football fans are treated as thugs by politicians everywhere they go. You can go to the darts and you can have a pint, but you can't hear a darts player come out to his song Simply the Best just because it's associated with Rangers in this country. That's how tin pot it is. And we need to think how we can get more sort of income streams into the game by selling a pint before the game. I mean, you can travel, down south, 2 hours in a motor, go to a Premier League game, 2.5 hours in a motor, and get a pint at the game, obviously, if you're not driving, and enjoy the event as a whole. Up here, we're struggling for income streams. We have the SPFL, the two highest guys in Doncaster and Murdo McClenaghan on 2 years payoff before they go. So that's taking like 1.8 million out the budget right away. There's more money going out than coming in, it seems at times. So we have to look as a broader, wider picture how we can sell the game. It's already too expensive for fans. So we have to look at other ways in which we can get income stream into our club. And that in turn will then produce more of a budget for your manager in the long term, will it not?
No, 100%. And I mean, St Johnstone, I saw this week are cutting Old Firm fans' allocation. I mean, when is Doncaster going to actually come from behind his rock and show a set of cojones and stand up for Scottish football and get this situation sorted out? There should be, we've said this in pods before, there should be a percentage that you have to give for every away fan. These games are on Sky TV, and we wonder why they throw us absolute peanuts. And we've got empty stadiums. Some of these stadiums, they're lucky they've got 4,000 or 5,000 supporters, and now there's going to be 2,000, 1,000 Rangers or Celtic fans there. And it's not. And the thing about the alcohol, the buses getting searched. as soon as it's a football bus and they know there's an away day, the police are searching buses on the way up to Aberdeen, on the way to Dundee and stuff like that. And it's only normal working class guys that have had a tough week at work. They just want to go to the football, enjoy the football, have a few pints. But it's always the few idiots that ruin it for the masses, you know. But that law should definitely be looked at. And I mean, going to the football should be a day out. I mean, Rangers are doing a lot to try and improve the footprint around the stadium. We've got Edmiston House, we've got the bar, the sports bar that now we're fighting over the name of it. God knows what that's going to be called. And then we've got all that sort of stuff going on. So Rangers are trying to improve the match day experience. They've got players speaking and stuff like that. And you should be able to have a few pints in the ground. I mean, what harm's it going to do? I mean, it's also about being able to sell your games when they're not on TV. I mean, these stupid rules about 3 o'clock games can't be shown. You should be allowed, every club should be allowed to sell these games for £10 pay-per-view a ticket. All the clubs in Scotland really struggle to make revenue, and all these stupid archaic rules that have been in since the 80s and 90s. But we've got zero leadership in Scotland. Doncaster's like the worst. How this guy gets paid so much money. If I was so bad at my job as this guy is at his job, then this massive salary he's getting, what does he actually do for the salary? And you have people go, oh, it's not him, it's the clubs. They have to put everything to a vote and it has to be 11-1. They don't even put in. What do they speak about when they have these SPL board meetings every 2-3 months? What do they actually speak about? Because they never actually seem to make anything better. Every time I pick up the paper now, Scottish football, and we all love Scottish football for what it is. We don't want it to be like the English Premier League. We want it to be like the Scottish League. The fans are real. It's still got that real passion. It's still got that real aggression. We don't want to take that all away and have it as a tourist league, but we never seem to help ourselves. We're always fighting against each other, and people need to bang their heads together, and we need to be making everything better for the football fan. Okay? Even make it like rugby. You know, everyone enjoys going to the rugby, having a few pints. It's a day out. We need that. Football should be exactly the same, you know?
No, I think you've put that very well, Ricky. And Keir, if we can take that on a step further and bring it back to Rangers in our boardroom at the moment, I think part of the problem is that there's no really any key decision makers there in the positions that matter within the club. And John Bennett is just trying to be puppet master, but he's not got any strings to control the puppets just now. And I think the introduction of a CEO took a sort of back step this week when Jim Gillespie for St Mirren doesn't look as if he's coming. So it looks like we're going to broaden the search wider. That might be a good thing in the long term, but it doesn't help us now. And going forward, there's no really a football guy there at the club that's got his finger on the pulse when it comes to key decisions going forward. As I say, there's no head of the youth academy at the moment either. I think our scouting and recruitment needs looked at. Coppin needs help. He's just came from being a chief scout all these days to a head of recruitment, so he needs help in that transition. But there's no enough football guys involved in the top level of the club, and that's something that we really have to address very soon.
Listen, we've been saying this since the start of the season, haven't we, about CEO, director of football, academy, whatever, but I think it's getting to a stage, David, you just mentioned it yourself, I don't think there'll be any rush appointments anymore. I think the one with Jim Gillespie, they announced that very quickly, didn't they? And then a couple of weeks later, in the end, he's turned us down by all accounts, so I don't know what happened, but people are saying thank God he did. But listen, you just don't know. I'd rather somebody kind of knows what they're doing than somebody didn't. But listen, it doesn't have to be a big name for me. I know people are saying all different names for England or abroad. But that costs money to get a lot of these guys. First of all, you need to get someone in, a headhunt in, to go and look at CEOs. It doesn't have to be, as long as they've got a football background, it doesn't have to be a big, massive club, as long as they know what they're doing. And same with the academy and same with director of football. But I think it could be maybe next season before anything happens. I don't think we'll make any rash decisions. Listen, this is all on Bennett and Hearts and the board. But as we know, they're not just chairman and director, whatever, they're the owners as well. So this all falls on them, and they know that. But at the end of the day, we can't get rid of them because, like I say, they're the owners. They put the money in. So, but I don't know where we go. I think, like I said a minute ago, they'll have to appoint somebody, a headhunter, to go and look at set positions for the board and bring somebody in. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think they cocked up announcing the boy Gillespie too soon. And then he never came, so I think we're going to have to look at it. Maybe a wider search will work out for us, but we have to get it right, David. They can't make a pits up it. They can't make a bad appointment, because if it does, it can set us back years.
And am I right in saying, Kerr, it's 14 days until our first Europa League game kicks off, albeit it's away from home, but we've still no covered the cost of match tickets confirmed to all supporters yet. So what does that say about forward planning for the club? Is that no something that should have been sorted in the immediate term? We knew that was a tournament. I get there was issues with Ibrox, but surely the costs should have been worked out by now. Is that worrying you?
I think it's probably going to be quite steep, depending where you sit. I mean, I've heard different numbers, £44 a game, £45 a game, up to £50 a game, and I'm in the Brimloan, so I don't know what other section of the stadium will cost, but were they scared to announce it after it's happened the last couple of weeks? I don't know. But I think they'll have to announce it shortly, because they can't expect people at this time of year to fork up £160 upwards on 4 tickets. They're going to have to say, right, pay it one game at a time, and just pay it a couple of weeks, maybe right before the game, as at Ibrox, and pay it then. You can't expect people to stumble that money up at one go. It's quite a lot to ask for, but listen, that's up to them. I was the same as you. I mean, they took my money for St Johnstone very, very quickly, because the CCS has started back, so hopefully it gets announced soon, because people are looking to know. But let's say you look at social media, and there's all different prices, so you don't really know what one will be. Probably be the dearest one, but you just don't know. It depends where you sit. All the tickets will be different.
Kerr, sorry, just come. What do you think would be a fair price for each match? 40 quid?
Just going at inflation, the way football is going, I'd probably say between 42 and 46.
As high as that,
and I still think that's too dear, but just go and be what other clubs have been charging you.
And Ross, if we take it back to the football, mate, I'm kind of hoping that the next 3 league games we have to get maximum points, but we've got a run of fixtures that include, obviously, Dundee at home in the cup. We've obviously got Malmo away, and then we've got Lyon at home. Do we really need to take almost maximum points and obviously progress in the cup to kick on our season? Can we afford to have a hiccup at any point in the next month before October's international break?
So I've got in the words of that mad Shagger singer that came out with Extra Rain last night, I've got another confession to make. I've actually been in at Ibrox tonight and had my interview, so hopefully when I'm on the board things will change. No, in all seriousness, I think in the league, certainly, mate, we need to take 9 for 9. The cup, we need to. Europe at this point, is it a priority? Is it going to derail the train if we don't beat Malmo and Lyon? I don't think so. To be perfectly honest with you, Europe, I don't think this squad have got what the squad to go all the way in Europe, especially under the new format. I think priority for us has got to be hanging in there in the league.
Just on that, Ross, just on that, when you make that point, have we even got a squad that's robust enough today? Thursday, Sunday. So
that's where I was going with that, Davey. I don't think so. We kind of touched on it earlier. We've only got 2 strikers, and you're looking at one of them potentially having to play on the left wing because we've got what an obligation to buy on a guy who can't string 6 games together without getting long-term injured. I don't think our squad is. I don't think our squad's deep enough. Starting 11, everybody fit, I would say we could compete, and especially what frustrates me, Davey, is that you're saying Malmo and Lyon, 2 teams that will come out and play football, and we can play and we fancy our chances, but the minute a team in green and white comes and wants to play football ways, we fucking run up with an arsehole shit scared. I don't get it, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if you went through that run of games unbeaten, but to also on the flip side, wouldn't it surprise me if you come away for that 8 points behind in the league, scrape through in the cup and get scudded twice in Europe. And that's the problem with us now. You can't even predict who's going to start for us on a Saturday. I don't think I've correctly predicted a starting 11 for us this season, yet there's always a curveball in there. So if you can't predict the team, how can you predict results over the next 4 to 6 weeks when you don't even know who's going to survive? That's what it's like, So it's survival of the fittest, and we don't have many fit ones, Davey, which is also a worry. So for me, best case scenario is the domestic stuff we take care of and let the European stuff be what it is.
Ricky, what are you hoping to see? Are you hoping to see a style of play, goals? Is just winning good enough for you? What over the next sort of, we'll say 5 weeks until the next international break, what is it you're hoping to see for Rangers?
Ross County game, mate. That's what I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping to see patterns of play. I'm hoping to see the defence look a bit more stable. I don't want to see Tavernier starting 5 games, and I'm not saying that just to pick on James Tavernier. I don't really want to see most players starting all 5 games, running the guy, just basically pounding the guy into the ground. I want to see a freshness. I want to see what Clement brought when he first came into the job, We were winning games. It wasn't always pretty at home. We were playing decent, and then away we were winning 1-0, 2-0, 1-0, 2-1. Get back to that. Get back to win 1 game, win 2 games in Europe. Go away, get a point in Malmo, win 3 games in the league. That's what I want to see. It doesn't matter the performances. We all want to see great football. We all want to see it looking fantastic. Remember, he's put a target on his back because he said when we got to October, the team would be purring and the team would be playing well. So again, that's a big statement that he said that he's probably thinking, was that wise to say that a few months ago? But hopefully a few victories and just to lift the spirits of the support. Fans are going to be excited to be back at Ibrox. I saw a few videos today. The stadium's looking fantastic. I saw someone flying a green drone over Ibrox, which was a bit weird, but the stadium's looking good. So it'll be good to get back to Ibrox, let the new players sample the atmosphere. A good, simple game against Dundee in the Cup to start with. A few victories and take things from there. That's what I want to see. But victories are the most important thing for sure. There's no point in playing well and drawing 2-2 with Dundee United. That's no use.
Kerr, obviously this is the part of the season right up until, January, where most weeks you're playing 3 games a week, because your weekend game, your midweek, and then the next weekend game. So we us only having 2 strikers, as you mentioned earlier on, in regards to Dessers and now Igamani, with Danilo been away getting more surgery. Is it time to bleed Igamani in and give him, a run of games in that position? Because if Dessers gets an injury, he's going to be the only guy that we've got there. So is Sunday the perfect test for him? Or do you not think Clement will do that?
I don't think he'll do it on Sunday, Davey. No, I think Dessers will start. I think maybe against Dundee in the Cup, he might try it because it's at home at Ibrox, but I don't think he'll do it at Paradise on Sunday. I think Dessers will start for me. That's the issue. If Dessers does get injured or he gets suspended or something, then you're relying on a guy who's going to play a lot of football, but that's down to the manager. I mean, he said, was it today or yesterday, he said some players take 3 months to settle, some players take 6 months to settle. It's like he's telling us one thing and he's getting his excuse book out for something else, which I'm starting to turn off when he speaks, Davey. I don't know about yourself, but I was excited when he first became the manager, but I don't see a style of play. I know you mentioned it, and I don't see us getting a style of play under Clement. I don't know exactly who he wants us to play. The only time I really see is now again is a long ball, and that's not as a style of play, right? Because teams do that, but I think some of the players we've brought in don't suit the way he wants to play, whatever way that is. I think you can look at maybe Boardroom coming in. Where does he play him? I don't know. I've seen the boy only on TV playing in Albania. I've seen him a couple of times in Serie A, but does he play him as a 10 or does he do it? Is that a national team and play him out wide? I don't know where he's going to play him. But then you're looking at our midfielders, and we've all mentioned it. Ross mentioned it. guys playing in different positions. Barron is a 6, but Connor Barron doesn't. He used to playing further forward. Diamandi's forms up and down. Raskin's no fit yet. Sterling can play anywhere. I think maybe goalkeeper as well if you ask him. But I don't know. I think he has to get a set of formation with guys in their strongest positions. I don't think he does that. I think he's got this formation in his head. He wants to play. And I've said that for the way to start. I don't think some of the players suit it, but he thinks, well, they suit it well and they can give 70% in that position. So I'm going to stick him in it. And I don't know where this is going to end, but like I say, he's going to be here for a while. He signed that new deal, so I think he'll be here at least until the end of the season. Hopefully, we get results and results keep winning. Listen, results breed confidence, and all we can do at this moment in time is go game to game. I don't want to look ahead because we're not good enough to look ahead. We just have to go game to game and see if we can gradually improve.
Ross, I want to ask you a sort of in-depth question here, but just before, we get to that, I just want to let everybody in the comments know to get your predictions in before the end of the show for the Dundee United match. So if you want to put your scorer and your scoreline in, I'll put them up on the screen. But Ross, Kenny's saying here, not one player has improved under the manager. I want to ask you, what type of manager do you think that Philippe Clement is? Because I can't put my finger on it. I don't see him as a motivational type because he's had that many sort of, problems come out for the inner sanctum of the dressing room. So what is he? Because I'm not seeing him making the tactical changes or tweaks in games that I would expect to a manager. And I think 11 months into a job, I'm slightly concerned by that.
It comes across to me as a disciplinarian. It comes across to me as like an old school manager who likes to play Route 1 football, get the ball up the park. They can't score if it's in their half, but unfortunately for us, they can because one pass kills our full midfield. I worry about his man management style. I've spoke before about the Cantwell thing. Cantwell being one of your better players at that time. Obviously, relationships broke down over the summer for completely. But Cantwell getting took off after half an hour, then a couple of weeks later at half time, when you had Barisic stinking the place up, when you had Lundstrom stinking the place up, at least you had something there to work with. I think quite a lot of the time he's dug out the wrong people. So I think he's a disciplinarian. I don't think he likes somebody that's going to give him a bit back. And Cantwell and Hagi seem to have been two who have maybe given him a bit back. He's definitely not a tactician because he's trying to play a system that the players he's bought don't fit into. Hopefully Bajrami can be the catalyst to that changing, because I think in the way he wants to play, you either need the 6 or the 10 either side of your either in front or behind your 2 8s. At the moment we've got 2 8s and a traffic cone really with Tom Lawrence, well due respect, and I've said before I like Lawrence, but his legs are gone. He's not got the energy, he's not got the drive to get about the park the way he should. So he's not a tactician. He's no it doesn't seem to me to be a sort of jovial, good man manager. So for me, I don't know. I'm the same as you, Davey. I don't know. I don't even know what style of football he wants to implement, which is the worrying part for me. And Farroy seems to get frustrated with the media, and the way he seems to get frustrated with the players, and he seems to have his favourites and he seems to have other ones that he's maybe not scared to have a go at and make an example of. The first thing Gerrard done when he came into Rangers was instilled in the players that you play for Rangers and nobody up here likes you, nobody respects you, and we gave nobody any respect, and we went and rolled over teams. And I think he's the same type of manager, but in other ways for a club like Rangers. I think maybe if he was a manager of, with all due respect, a St Mirren or something, and your fans are quite happy to pay for a season ticket and watch long ball as long as you're drawing games and then winning a couple. But when you're at Rangers, that you need to be adaptable. You need to be able to go for playing against a St Mirren where it's a kind of mid-block to then the next week going and playing a St Johnstone or a Dundee and having them playing a low block, and then the next week you're playing Malmo in the Europa League and Celtic, and you need to then... We seem to want to play the same way against everybody, and it's not working against anybody, which is, for me, the biggest worry out of them all.
No, I think that's a very fair point. And just on that, I'll bring Paul's point since he asked the question in regards to the Hagi issue, since it was touched on there. And I'll just go round all the guys one by one. I'll start with you, Keir. So, taking into account how thread-bin and thin our squad is, should there be conversations with that sort of clause in his contract that because we can't sell him now, he's picking up a decent wage, the two should meet in order to get use out the guy in the squad somewhere? Yes or no, Keir?
Are we going to give a big answer as well?
Give a big answer. Give a big answer.
All I'll say is before the Euros, he was happy he was leaving. He said so himself that he was looking forward to a new venture somewhere else. He never got his wish by all accounts. Maybe no other teams going for him or teams didn't like. Now he's kind of not apologised, but says twice he wants to stay. He loves Rangers, he loves the fans, he loves the club, blah blah blah. So listen, we're paying him a lot of money a week for that to be sitting in the stands. I would use him, even though I don't think he deserves it because he did ask to get away. But come on, this is where he's been consistent on the Hagi thing. He's known his plans, so I don't think he will. He said that about 3 times now. We've told him at the start of the season he was in my plans. So I don't think, that's what I mean about stubborn. I don't think, even if he'd a lot injured, I don't think he'll change his mind. I don't think it's got a lot to do with the deal. Unless the board have said to him, don't play him, you don't want to pay that. I don't know, but I just think he's made this same, he's known the squad, he's known my plans. He doesn't want him, and I think that's the real reason.
Ricky, where'd you stand on it?
He was shite before he got injured. He was shite when he came back from injury. He's still shite just now. Come on, thinks he's shite. He's not going to play for the first team. Forget about Hagi, mate. It's not happening. No team wanted him, right? Okay, we were the stupid enough team to pay him this massive salary, but he was crap in Spain. He was on loan. He didn't do that well. He plays pretty good for Romania. It's probably, I don't know if it's because he's scared of his dad or whatever, but he was pissed before he got injured. He's still pissed now. Forget about it. Move on. And
Ross, final word on it this evening?
It's a strange one for me, mate. It's a strange one. He was out injured for so long. We rehabbed him back. Beale gave him this new contract. He played 6 or 7 games and then got shipped out on loan. His loan never went well. Now, the part that I struggle with is he put quotes out there to say that he was moving on. He'd left it with his agent to find him a new club. What's the detail in that? Did he decide he was moving on, or did Clement tell him he wasn't in the plans and that's why he instructed his agent to move him on? I've never seen the start of that quote. I've only ever seen the bit in which he says, I'm going to international duty and my agent's been told to find me a club, but he has to find a club and a manager and a tactic that suits me. So that's the first thing for me on it. The second thing is we're paying a guy 22 grand a week to sit on the bench now. For the B team, not even for the first team. So that's 80 grand a month, 90 grand a month that we are just setting on fire because we're getting absolutely nothing back for it. The other part for me, which seems to be getting overlooked here a wee bit, Davey, is we are not a club who are going out and buying players outright. We're not going and signing checks for 2 and 3 million quid. So if the Genk rumour is true that if he plays another game, he triggers a clause, does that put other clubs off dealing with us in deals in which there's an additional fee after X amount of games and we then don't pay the player so that you don't honour the contract you've made with that club? So you're punishing the player, but does that reflect... If that is the case, now nobody's come out and said, if he plays, we owe Genk X amount. That's never been confirmed, but it seems to be the wee underlying rumour that he's due a wage increase and Genk are due money. But for me, the worry would be that if we go and say you go to a Motherwell and you say to them, we'll give you 3 million for Lennon Miller, and then it rises to 4 million once he's played 100 games for us, do we then no play if it? Do you know what I'm talking about? That could put the club in a bad state. And that would also be a worry for me if that part of it is true.
No, spot on. No, a point well made. And that was a great night. I thoroughly enjoyed that. We're well over the hour. Just a wee bit of housekeeping for everybody watching. Next week, I unfortunately won't be in the hot seat. So hopefully someone else will step up to the plate and prepare you with equally channeled intros of the Davy variety. Hope you have a good weekend. I hope we absolutely pumped Dundee United. And it's good night from them. And it's good night from me. Good night.